Hey everybody, it's Brad, and I'm back with another Tubi Tuesday for July. For those who don't know what Tubi Tuesday is, this is a video I release on the last Tuesday of the month, where I highlight and I lowlight some of the films I've been watching on Tubi this past month. You can follow all those watches over on Twitter. I post them, anything I watch on Tubi. Just follow at Tubi Tuesday. Also, make sure you follow my friend Drew at Needs to Be Seen. He posts everything that he watches on Tubi as well, because Tubi is a great free streaming service. So, for July, right now, we are in the midst of 150 Days of Horror. My friend Drew and I started the 150 Days of Horror starting June 3rd, and we're doing it 150 horror movies in 150 days, rolling through Halloween. And so a lot of my watches might be more horror themed than, usual, but we're going to go through it. So overall in July, I watched a massive 30 films on Tubi. So this month, I'm going to do the top 5 and bottom 5. Usually I only do top 3, bottom 3. But because I watched so many, I'm going to go through the 5. And I always like to start at the bottom. So we're going to start with the bottom 5 films, or my lowlights for July. First on that list is a film from 2005. It is called Disaster, the Movie. And this is a stop-motion animated film, a spoof of disaster films. An asteroid is coming towards Earth, and Harry Bottoms is in charge of saving us all again. So this was okay. It had some funny moments. Like I said, it was a stop-motion animation, and it was raunchy, very much in the vein of like Team America or something like that, where you have puppet nudity, you have all kinds of just raunchy jokes. And, probably 10 to 15 years ago, I probably would have found it a lot funnier. It was still funny. I still laughed in many moments of the film. But overall, it was just okay. So, take what you want. If you want, like, raunchy animation, check out Disaster the Movie. Otherwise, if you don't think it's up your alley, go ahead and avoid it. So next on the list is called The Burning Dead. This is from 2015. A sheriff must rescue an estranged family from a mountain during a volcano eruption and fight off a horde of lava-filled zombies brought to life by a curse. So this is one of the Tuesdays we did a Danny Trejo films theme. So every week we do a theme if you watch over on social media at Tubi Tuesday. And one of the weeks was Danny Trejo, and I watched quite a few of those films. This was one of them that was not good. And there's a lot of these films where Danny Trejo is on the cover of the film, as you'll see at the poster that I have up here. But he's only in it for a short amount of time. He has like a very small role. But overall, this movie was just eh. Some of the zombies were cool. Like they're all, scarred and charred from being shot out of a volcano, and they spew lava. But other than that, like, it just was dull. And the soundtrack of the film, it's like they paid for 30 seconds and it just loops over and over again. Like, it gets kind of annoying after a bit. So I cannot recommend The Burning Dead. So next on the lowlights is a film from 2011 called Dead Stop. A group of teens miles from civilization and hopelessly off course are pursued through the desert by a creature that craves their flesh. This film was very I don't even know where to start. Like they use a lot of the creature vision. So you see a lot of attacks or the creature coming at them through its eyes. And, the screen just turns red and it just kind of warps around. And you hardly ever see the creature. Anytime you see the creature, it's close up. You see like a jaw, a claw, snarling teeth. And it just wasn't good. Like, it was just dull. The action and the kills in it were just meh. And like I said, the creature vision, I did not like the creature vision, and not seeing the creature. And Dead Stop, you can definitely avoid. So 2 more on the list. Next is also from our Danny Trejo theme, and that is from 2014, called Reaper. Criminals and a beautiful but cunning hitchhiker must battle a supernatural force known as the Reaper. Ooh. So this could have been good. The Reaper character was a pretty cool designed character. It was like a Grim Reaper, but had like an electrical shocked sickle, and the few times you got to see the Reaper, he was pretty cool. I wish they would have leaned more in that, but instead they kind of went a whole different direction, and it was just dull. And like they tried to do, it felt like 2 stories in one, where you had the Reaper, but then you had this other story of, kind of unworthy people, and they're at a hotel with a manager who wants to punish the wicked and people that sin, and it just it didn't work. It didn't work at all. They should have just leaned into the Reaper character and just turned it into more of a slasher with the Reaper. That would have been cool. So avoid Reaper. Last on the list, this is one that I just recently watched. It is from 2022. It's called Infrared. Family tensions between a brother and sister with psychic powers threaten to tear apart the filming of an episode of a paranormal reality TV show. But simmering emotions may be the least of the crew's problems. So this is a found footage film. And found footage films for me are very hit and miss. More often than not, I do not like them. I tend to avoid them more often than not. This was definitely not an exception to the rule. It took probably a good hour before much really happened. And when it did, it was like oh, okay. This has a small role from Greg Sestero. If you listen to our podcast, you know that we've done a few things with Greg, and he has a scene towards the end that is actually the most exciting scene of the film, because nothing happens in this movie. Like, literally nothing. They are walking around an abandoned school. They try to bicker with each other, and the bickering just isn't... They're like, oh, I can't believe you're here, and it's just dull. It's boring. It was a slog to get through, and don't watch Infrared. Like, it wasn't worth that time. All right, done with the bottoms, done with the lowlights from Tubi Tuesday. Let's bring it back up top. It's time for the highlights of what I watched on Tubi this past month. First on that is a Tubi original from this year, 2022. It just came out 2 weeks ago. It is called Eradication. When an unknown disease wipes out most of the world's population, a man with unique blood is isolated for study. Fearing for his wife's safety, he breaks his quarantine into a world overrun by monstrous, infected, and shadowy agency hunting him down. I think this is one of the better Tubi originals that they've put out recently. I haven't watched all of them, but of the ones I've personally watched, I think this is one of the better ones. It is a slow burn, so it does kind of go slowly, but there's enough in it to keep me it kept me interested in what was coming next and kind of cared for what this character was going through. Yes, you could tell that there were some budgetary limits because I would have liked to see more of, creatures on the outside that we didn't really get to see, but it was still very engaging and it was good. I would recommend checking out Eradication, the Tubi original. So yet another movie from the Danny Trejo theme, Tuesday, makes the list, but this time it's up on the top. And this is a film from 2012 called Badass. A Vietnam veteran becomes a local hero after saving a man from attackers on a bus. He decides to take action when his best friend is murdered, and the police show little interest in solving the crime. So if you've ever seen, say Death Wish, this is similar to that, to where someone close to him dies. The police aren't doing anything about it or much about it. So he decides to take it into his own hands and he's going to fight the crime himself. He's going to, go through all these people and find out who killed his friend and fight the crime in this little area that he lives. And I really enjoyed it. There are 2 sequels after this, Badass 2 Badasses and Badasses on the Bayou, which they kind of go downhill after this first one. This first one's really good. The next 2, it starts to turn into more of a buddy movie with Danny Glover. But I really like this first one, and I would highly suggest, if you've never seen Badass with Danny Trejo, definitely check it out. So next on the list is a super fun movie that is just a riot, and it's from 2014. It's called Lavalantula, and it did spawn a sequel also called To Lava, To Lantula, which I didn't like as much as this one. This first one was just almost gold for me. It was directed by Mike Mendez, who did another spider movie called Big Ass Spider, that if you haven't seen it, definitely watch that one too. This stars Steve Guttenberg. Volcanic eruptions in Los Angeles unleash a swarm of gigantic lava-breathing tarantulas. That's all you need to know. It's completely ridiculous, super silly. This takes place in the same universe as Sharknado, so that will set it up for you right there. And anyone who knows me or listens to the podcast knows that I tend to like movies on the so bad they're good side, and this movie is definitely right there. It's just ridiculous fun, and you will have a good time watching it. So watch Lavalantula. So the next one on the list is we're getting back to a little more serious. It's from 2021. It is a Korean film. It's called Midnight. A serial killer ruthlessly hunts down a deaf woman through the streets of South Korea after she witnesses his brutal crime. Now, this was put out by Epic Pictures and Dread Presents, and this is a film I've been waiting to see for a while. I just hadn't had a chance to check it out, and it landed on Tubi, so I immediately watched it, and this was a pretty tense movie because you have, I mean, like the description, there's a serial killer and this deaf woman and her mother, who's also deaf. This woman witnesses him basically kidnapping another woman, and she's trying to get away and trying to kind of turn him in, but she's deaf, so communication's a little hard. And then he chases her down. So there's a lot of very tense scenes to where, because he can sneak up on her and she can't hear him. So there's a lot of great scenes where he kind of comes out of nowhere and goes after her, or he's very good at playing another side in groups of people to where she can't communicate well with them because these people don't know sign language, and things are happening so fast. I don't want to keep talking too much about it and give anything away. I definitely highly recommend checking out Midnight. So go look for that on Tubi and watch it. It is definitely worth a watch. So the last one, I mean, this is kind of the way I scored it, it's kind of a tie with Midnight as my top films that I watched on Tubi this past month. And this is a movie from 1983 called Videodrome from David Cronenberg. So if anyone's ever watched a Cronenberg movie, you know they're a little on the weird side. A programmer at a TV station that specializes in adult entertainment searches for the producers of a dangerous and bizarre broadcast. So for the most part, this movie is kind of hard to explain to you. It's a broadcast that happens that feels very real, and it kind of gets into you and it becomes very real. There's a great scene of a TV that kind of comes to life that you may have seen in a lot of like clips or scenes from this film. And this is a movie I've always wanted to see of Cronenberg's, and I'm glad that I finally had a chance to see it. And I think if you really like odd body horror, check out Videodrome, because it's one of his classics, I think. Honestly, like, I really, really enjoyed this film. All right, well, that'll do it for another month of Tubi Tuesday. I want to thank you for watching. Make sure you like and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss any of these Tubi Tuesdays or any other videos that we put out. And make sure you follow our podcast over at wearethecinemaguys.com. And you get to hear myself, Justin, and the Cinemaiden. We're just three friends that love chatting movies. And I will be back next month to break down my Tubi watches again. So just remember, Tuesdays aren't just for tacos. We'll see you later, everybody.